Ball lightning. Picture this. You're safe inside during a thunderstorm when suddenly a glowing orange sphere the size of a basketball floats straight through your wall. It hovers in your living room, humming softly, then either explodes or just disappears. I know it sounds insane, but this is ball lightning and it's absolutely real. For centuries, scientists thought witnesses were lying or hallucinating. I mean, how could electricity form a stable sphere? How could it pass through solid walls without leaving a mark? It seemed physically impossible. Then, in 2012, Chinese scientists got incredibly lucky. They captured ball lightning on high-speed cameras during a storm. Finally, proof. Here's what's actually happening. When regular lightning hits soil, it vaporizes silicon and oxygen at temperatures over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. These form tiny nanoparticles that clump together into a ball, held together by electrical charges. The ball glows as it slowly burns, like a floating sparkler made of vaporized earth. And the wall-passing thing? The ball isn't solid. It's made of plasma and microscopic particles. It can literally seep through tiny gaps in walls like smoke. The really unsettling part? This can happen in your house right now during any thunderstorm. These things are rare, but they're real. Nature can create floating balls of burning silicon that drift through your home. Sweet dreams. Rogue waves. Sailors have been telling the same story for thousands of years. A wall of water appeared out of nowhere, 80, 90, maybe 100 feet tall in calm seas. It swallowed the ship whole. And for thousands of years, scientists called them liars. The math said waves that big in normal conditions were statistically impossible. They should only happen once every 10,000 years. Then January 1st, 1995 happened. An oil platform in the North Sea recorded an 84-foot wave appearing in moderate seas. Instruments don't hallucinate. More data poured in. Satellites detected these impossible waves occurring every few days. Ships kept vanishing with no distress calls. One moment they were there, the next they were just gone. The explanation that finally made sense: nonlinear wave theory. Ocean waves don't just add up normally. When multiple wave systems traveling in different directions intersect at exactly the right timing and steal energy from each other and briefly merge into one massive wave. Think of it like 5 people pushing on a door at slightly different times versus all pushing at the exact same moment. That synchronized force is devastating. Here's what keeps me up at night. These waves are completely unpredictable. They form randomly when wave patterns align, exist for maybe 30 seconds, then break apart. You can't see them coming. Satellites show they're happening right now, somewhere in the ocean, far more often than we ever imagined. Modern ships have better warning systems, sure, but if you're in the wrong spot when patterns align, there's literally nothing you can do. The ocean can build a 10-story wall of water in seconds, and your first warning is when it's already crashing down on you. That's not just terrifying, that's nature reminding us we're never really in control. Spontaneous human combustion. An elderly person sits alone in their chair, maybe reading or watching TV. The next morning, someone finds them reduced to ash, not burned, reduced to powder. Their torso is gone, completely incinerated. But here's the part that makes no sense. Their legs are still there. The chair is barely scorched. The room shows almost no fire damage. How? How? This isn't fiction. Over 200 documented cases exist, and for centuries, nobody could explain it. People blamed divine punishment, spontaneous ignition from alcoholism, even paranormal forces. Modern forensic science finally cracked it, and honestly, the truth is somehow more disturbing than the mystery. It's called the wick effect, and here's the horrifying reality. The person isn't igniting spontaneously. There's always an external source: a cigarette, a fireplace ember, a candle. That ignites their clothing. Then their body fat melts from the heat and soaks into the fabric. The clothing becomes a wick, like in a candle. And the fat? That's the wax. The body burns slowly, steadily, for hours. The fat keeps melting and feeding the wick. Temperatures reach 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to turn bones into ash. The torso burns because that's where most fat is stored. The legs survive because they're further away from the initial ignition and have less fuel. The room doesn't catch fire because it's a slow, localized burn, like a candle on a table that burns for hours without setting anything else on fire. Scientists tested this on pig carcasses wrapped in fabric, same fat content as humans. The results were identical to spontaneous combustion cases. But here's what really gets me. Imagine being unconscious or immobilized and this happening. Hours of slow burning, your own body fat fueling the fire that's erasing you from existence. The original spark, that cigarette or ember, burns away early, leaving no trace. By the time someone finds you, you look like you just burst into flames from nothing. The mystery is solved, but knowing the truth makes it no less nightmarish. St. Elmo's fire. Imagine you're a sailor in the 1600s, storm raging, massive waves. You're probably going to die. Then you look up and see ghostly blue flames dancing on the mast, on metal rails, on the tips of swords, even on your own fingertips. But they don't burn, they just glow. Would you think it was divine? A sign from the gods? Of course you would. Even Christopher Columbus documented this. Charles Darwin saw it. Modern pilots still report glowing plasma on their wings during electrical storms. The explanation is actually beautiful in its simplicity. It's a corona discharge. During storms, massive electrical fields build up between clouds and the ground. Sharp points, like masts, wingtips, or yes, fingertips, concentrate that electrical energy. When voltage gets high enough, it literally rips electrons from air molecules, creating plasma. And plasma glows. It's the same principle as a neon sign. High voltage, ionized gas, visible light. St. Elmo's fire is just nature making its own neon signs during thunderstorms. You can touch it and you'll be fine. You'll feel tingling from the electricity, but it's not hot like flame. It's just glowing air. Modern aircraft are designed to handle it. It's spectacular, but harmless. But imagine being a sailor in 1492, seeing fire that doesn't burn appearing on your hands during a deadly storm. You'd absolutely believe in miracles. The fact that it's physics doesn't make it any less magical looking. Sometimes I wonder how much of what we call supernatural is just science we haven't figured out yet. This is proof that the line is thinner than we think. Blood rain. You step outside and it's raining, but the raindrops are red. Your car is covered in what looks like blood. The streets, your clothes, everything, red. How would you react? Because I guarantee ancient Romans thought the world was ending. Medieval Europeans believed it was a sign of the apocalypse. In 2001, it rained red in Kerala, India for 2 months straight. People panicked. Some scientists proposed an absolutely wild theory. The red particles were extraterrestrial cells, alien life brought to Earth by a meteor explosion. Tests showed they could reproduce in extreme conditions and seemed to lack DNA. We almost had proof of alien life. Almost. The real answer is less exciting, but still fascinating. Algae spores and desert dust. Strong winds lift red dust from deserts, Sahara, Arabian, Australian outback, and carry it thousands of miles. It mixes with rain clouds and falls as red precipitation. In Kerala's case, local algae called Trentipolia had bloomed heavily. Atmospheric disturbances lifted massive amounts of spores into rain clouds. The alien cells were just algae with degraded DNA that was hard to detect initially. Blood rain still happens regularly worldwide, especially near deserts. It's just dust and microscopic organisms. But I'll tell you what, knowing the explanation doesn't make it less creepy when red rain is falling on your windshield. Your logical brain knows it's algae. Your lizard brain is screaming that the sky is bleeding. Science can explain away the mystery, but it can't explain away the primal fear of watching crimson rain fall from heaven. Sailing stones. In Death Valley, there's a dried lake bed called Racetrack Playa. Rocks weighing up to 700 pounds sit on this flat surface, and they move by themselves, leaving long trails in the mud behind them. Nobody had ever seen them move. You'd visit, see rocks in one spot. Come back days later, they're somewhere else, with trails behind them showing their path. Some trails were straight, some curved. Some rocks moved together, others separately. For decades, this was a genuine mystery. People proposed magnetic fields, dust devils, pranksters with ropes. Nothing fit. Then, in 2014, researchers did something clever. They put GPS trackers on the rocks and set up time-lapse cameras. And they finally caught the stones in the act. The answer? Ice rafts. Here's what happens on rare winter nights. The playa floods with a few inches of water. It freezes overnight into thin window pane ice. When the sun rises, the ice starts breaking into large floating panels. Wind pushes these panels across the wet, slippery surface. If rocks are frozen into the ice, they get dragged along, leaving trails in the soft mud. The rocks aren't moving by themselves. They're passengers on ice rafts being blown by wind at 2 to 5 meters per minute. Wind direction changes, trails curve. Multiple rocks in the same ice sheet move together. It's incredibly rare because it needs perfect conditions: rain, freezing temps, thin ice, warming, wind, all in sequence. Maybe once every few years. I love this one because it shows how even in our modern world, with all our technology, nature still has tricks up its sleeve. This mystery lasted decades until we finally got lucky enough to catch it on camera. Makes you wonder what else is out there that we just haven't been looking at the right moment to see. Bioluminescent seas. Sailors reported oceans that glowed blue at night. Millions of sparkles in the water like liquid stars. Some nights the entire ocean lit up. During World War II, this became a tactical concern. Submarines couldn't hide. Their wake glowed in the dark, giving away their position. Ships could be tracked by the glowing water their propellers stirred up. The explanation is actually one of nature's coolest defense mechanisms: dinoflagellates. These are microscopic plankton that produce light through a chemical reaction called bioluminescence. When disturbed by movement, they flash to startle predators. It's like pulling a fire alarm when someone attacks you. The light might scare them or attract a bigger predator to eat the thing trying to eat you. The chemical reaction is luciferin combining with oxygen and luciferase enzyme. It's 100% efficient. All energy becomes light, zero heat. Our best LED bulbs can't match that efficiency. During blooms, billions of these organisms concentrate in small areas. Every wave, every movement makes them flash. The result? Oceans that look like they're full of stars. You can see this in Puerto Rico's Mosquito Bay, California's bioluminescent waves, beaches in the Maldives. It's becoming more common due to pollution, which ironically helps these organisms thrive. What gets me is thinking about ancient sailors seeing this with zero scientific context. Just suddenly, the ocean is glowing with millions of tiny lights. They must have thought they'd sailed into another world. Even knowing it's microscopic organisms defending themselves doesn't diminish how magical it looks. Sometimes science makes things more beautiful, not less. Fire whirls. Imagine a tornado. Now set it on fire. That's a fire whirl. These are spinning columns of flames that can reach 100 feet tall, travel across landscapes, and suck up everything in their path while incinerating it. They're not theoretical, they're real, they're documented, and they're absolutely devastating. During the 1923 Tokyo earthquake, fires broke out across the city. Multiple fire whirls formed. One swept through a crowd in an open area and killed 38,000 people in 15 minutes. Witnesses described them as fire devils that seemed alive, hunting for victims. Here's the science. Intense heat from large fires creates powerful updrafts. If wind is blowing in different directions at different heights, wind shear, the updraft starts spinning. The rotation draws in more air and flames, creating a self-sustaining vortex. They work like dust devils or waterspouts, but with fire. The rotation concentrates heat and flames into a column reaching 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. They can lift burning debris and carry it miles, starting new fires wherever it lands. Modern firefighters track conditions that favor fire whirls: strong winds, steep terrain, large fires merging, but they're nearly impossible to stop. You have to let them burn out or starve them of fuel. What terrifies me is how they behave. They don't just burn, they hunt. They move across the landscape following heat and fuel sources. They're not alive, but they act like predators. Nature's most nightmare-inducing combination, the destructive power of a tornado plus the consuming hunger of fire. And we can barely fight them. Earthquake lights. Before, during, or after major earthquakes, people report seeing strange lights in the sky. Glowing orbs, lightning-like flashes, aurora-like sheets of color. For centuries, scientists dismissed these as hallucinations or coincidence. Then, video footage from the 2007 Peru earthquake, 2008 Sichuan earthquake, and 2011 Japan earthquake proved they're real. Cameras captured blue and white lights flashing in the sky during the quakes. But how? Earthquakes happen underground. How do they create lights in the sky? The leading theory, piezoelectricity in rocks. When rocks under extreme stress break and grind against each other, certain minerals, especially quartz, generate electrical charges. It's the same principle in quartz watches and piezo lighters. During earthquakes, massive amounts of rock fracture. This creates powerful electrical currents that travel through cracks to the surface. When they reach the surface, they ionize the air, creating glowing plasma like St. Elmo's fire or the aurora. Here's the really interesting part. The lights appear before earthquakes because stress builds up in rocks before they break. This pre-quake stress generates charges that can escape hours or days before the main event. Some scientists are studying these lights as potential early warning systems. If we can detect the electrical signatures, we might predict earthquakes minutes to hours before they strike. I find this oddly beautiful. Earth literally glows when it's about to break. It's like the planet is warning us, showing us visible signs of invisible forces building beneath our feet. We just have to learn to read the signals. Final thoughts. 9 phenomena that terrified people for centuries, all explained by science in just the last few decades. What seemed like magic, divine intervention, or supernatural forces was always just physics, chemistry, and biology doing things we didn't understand yet. But here's what really makes me think. How many things are we experiencing right now that future scientists will easily explain? What phenomena are happening today that seem mysterious or impossible that in 50 years will have simple, obvious explanations? And more importantly, how many things are we dismissing right now as impossible or imaginary that are actually real? How many witnesses are we calling crazy when they're just seeing something science hasn't caught up to yet? Ball lightning was considered a myth until 2012. Rogue waves were sailors' tales until 1995. Science keeps proving that the impossible is often just the not yet explained. So the next time someone tells you they saw something that doesn't make sense, something that seems impossible, maybe don't be so quick to dismiss it. Maybe they're seeing tomorrow's solved mystery. Or maybe, just maybe, they're seeing something science will never fully explain. And honestly, I'm not sure which possibility is more terrifying. Thanks for watching. If you learned something new or if any of these phenomena gave you chills, let me know in the comments. Which one freaked you out the most? And hey, if you've ever witnessed any of these phenomena yourself, I want to hear about it. Share your story. Until next time, stay curious and maybe keep an eye on the sky during the next thunderstorm. You never know what you might see.